where I kind of settled on and where I landed at through the process of making the album is like the name is kind of inconsequential. The name doesn't actually really matter. The name is for everyone else. It was kind of like wrestling with that, like, yeah, and that's where I ended up. It's not actually about the name. The name is just the cover, the packaging or whatever. But what's actually inside that is what's actually important.
Microphone check, 1 2. What is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service. Here we are again at the end of a rainbow. The music of today's guest, Birmingham, England native Tony Bontana, can be described in many ways. The word splayed comes to mind. That speaks to Tony's unique brand of degraded, manipulated, time-stretched sound. Introspective is another word that speaks to Tony's honest, personable approach to writing. But to me, the word that most simply describes what Tony is all about is creative, in any and every sense of the word. Tony's music spans multiple genres from rap to punk, no wave, harnessing an artistic ethos that is truly like none other. In today's episode, we dig deeper into his creative ethos by discussing this splayed sound, the aggressively experimental 2025 collaborative record he released with psychedelic ensemble, the Beautiful Malaise, and his brand new opus, My Name, released on February 27th. Tony Bontana is an essential voice whose profile is rising with critically acclaimed works and a killer feature most recently on Nourished by Time's latest album. I really just cannot co-sign this dude enough, so please make sure you listen on to learn more about a true musical visionary. The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth artist interviews, album reviews, and general rap commentary on the best that the underground rap scene has to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show. Tony Bontana, how are you doing today?
Yes, man. I'm good. It's not raining currently at this very second, so I count that as a win.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's pretty shit weather here, but I'm in better spirits because I'm talking with you now. Like you've been on a crazy run as of late. Like I feel like I say that a lot when I'm talking to artists because a lot of people are dropping music these days. A lot
Yeah.
of people making music, but you really put the pro in prolific. Like,
Mm.
and it's been quality, and it's been different kinds of quality, as in different types of music entirely.
Yeah.
You also got that real high profile feature on the latest Nourished by Time project. Shout out to Marcus.
Yeah. Shout
That
him
was
out.
crazy. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. Like it's that
Amazing.
one and probably Tossed Away that I think was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you
That
you
one for
you
me
coming
too.
in right after on your track with fucking after he's just like taking you to church with like these crazy vocal melodies, and then you just come in with it's just a great moment, and I'm glad that you got that that opportunity because he's doing great shit as well.
Nah, likewise, man. I love Marcus a lot. I love that album a lot. Like I try. When I speak about the album, I have to preface like, yo, it's no bias. It's not because I'm on it, but like I really love that album. So, yeah, no, it means a lot for real.
Yeah. And like we were just talking about right before we hit record, like I personally only fully tapped in with you like proper last year.
Hmm.
Specifically, it was Beautiful Malaise that kind of was the trigger where I was like, "Oh, this is so sick." And
Yeah.
then from there, I looked you up on socials, and then I realized that we had already had like a brief exchange on DMs when
Hmm.
you had shared some of your music because you had seen my Cities of Eve interview that I did after Man Plays the Horn, where you have a beat placement on it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know. I just found that so. I don't know the word. It's not serendipitous, but it's just like interesting because I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like completely binging because I swear to God, it was around. I think I was visiting home back in Ottawa like summer last year. I think I bought like 10 projects of yours
Yeah.
on Bandcamp within like a 24-hour span. Like I was just like, "Oh, this is so sick. This is so sick. This is so sick." And I'm just so into your brand of creativity. So I'm just really glad we could finally do this.
Nah, likewise, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you do. Always showing love for the culture and pushing it in the right way. So, likewise, man. Mutual respect.
Appreciate that, man. And like unlike most artists, discussing your music broadly is like a pretty large task because you have such a vast discography. And so like I kind of want to focus on the different elements of your bag one by one where we'll
Hmm.
first talk about like the sound experimentation side of Tony and then the vocalist side of Tony.
Okay.
Um both as a beat maker yourself and as kind of an executive producer where you lean on the collaborative production support from Sync 600, Tom Delly, to name a few,
Yeah.
psychedelic ensemble with the Beautiful Malaise. You've made some just awesome music with these folks. Like the creativity found in like the vision you have musically is unbelievable. And I think like what I find so interesting is that I really feel it on this new album, Tony Tom 2022, especially. Like, you find these sonic grooves, these pockets that are so rich. Like, it actually crystallized for me when I found myself in this, like, trance like state listening to the groove on marimba with Sync
Yeah.
600 off Tilted. I just felt I was like sitting, I had my good speakers playing it, and I was just like kind of like in awe. I was like, "Oh my god," because it like subtly kind of changes and evolves over the track, but the groove is kind of the same, but it
Yeah.
isn't. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like so magical. And then I read this piece you did with Bandcamp about how you describe your production style as splayed, and then I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god, that immediately makes sense to what I feel like I've been experiencing." But I don't want to butcher the description because I think it's a really crucial thing to understand about your music. So for those that didn't see the piece, like, could you
Mhm.
describe what you mean by saying your production style is splayed?
Yeah. So, splayed to me and to my people, what we do over here, it's basically taking like a source material, whether that be a sample or whether that be a piece of recorded music that we've made, and manipulating it to the point where it's far away from the original piece. And typically, when we'd classify something as splayed, it can be a little bit hard to catch. Like there won't necessarily be like a straight beat or like a straight rhythm to it, but I feel like the more you kind of train your ear to it, you can find like these kind of very personal grooves within the music that we make. So yeah, it's basically like a audio degradation process where we're just kind of stripping things down and yeah, making it into something new.
It's really fascinating because it is like you're saying, it's kind of subtle sometimes,
Hmm.
and where maybe to an untrained or unseasoned ear they might think it's kind of just like off beat, where
Hmm.
you're like, oh, the beat's kind of broken beat, but it's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not though, because eventually I kind of see where you're getting at. It's
yeah.
almost like seeing like a improv band kind of find that like special piece where they're like, oh, we got the kind of the melody or the little phrase that we want to start like
Yeah,
driving home, and I can hear that even in the production.
yeah. No, yeah, and that's exactly what it is. I think, like I say, it's kind of like personal to the person because I might find like a certain pocket, especially if I'm rapping over something. I might find a certain pocket, but then someone else could get the same instrumental and find a completely different. So I think it's very personal in that sense, where everyone kind of will hear it differently. But yeah, that's the kind of ethos behind it. Yeah.
What does this kind of style of production unlock for you creatively? Like, do you find these degraded sounds make the art feel more honest or vulnerable potentially?
To a degree, yeah, but I think it in terms of like writing to it, it's kind of like a challenge because, like I was saying, because it's not always straight. There's not always like a set rhythm or even a set tempo. It's kind of like a challenge. It's like the equivalent of doing a puzzle to me. So that's kind of what I enjoy about it. But then also because the sounds can be quite, for lack of a better term, deep. The kind of the lyrical content tends to be quite personal, introspective, etc., etc. Just by happens, not by happenstance, but yeah, that's typically what happens.
Specifically when it comes to the process of creating like this, like these splayed sonics, is it something where you're recording kind of like live beat manipulations to these kind of sounds, or is it a little more structured than that?
It depends. There's like a few different methods we have when it comes to approaching stuff like that. So there is, like you say, kind of like live manipulation, whether that be through like the SP404. Sometimes I use a MPC, or sometimes I'll literally just be on a door and I'll be kind of like fine tuning little effects and stuff like as I'm recording the beat. But then there's other kind of methods we use. There's one where we use Ableton Warp, which is like one of the big ones, where I'll kind of take a pre-made instrumental, I'll throw it into Ableton, and I'll kind of warp it or splay it into something new, and then I can then chop that up after I've done that, and then kind of replace certain bits. Or there's other methods where I use this plugin called Halftime, and Halftime typically producers will put one element from like an instrumental through Halftime, typically like the sample or the main melody or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But we kind of just took it that step further, and we'll just throw a whole instrumental in there, and kind of do it that way because it unlocks these very just special and unnatural rhythms.
Yeah, and I think like, time stretching is part of the manipulations that you'll apply to these sounds. But I feel like the end effect is also kind of like I tend to feel very it feels very surrealist.
Yeah.
Like, I keep bringing back Tony Tom 22 because honestly I feel like out of all your projects, I feel like that one, My Name, like your new upcoming record, or
Hmm.
upcoming at this point, we're recording Feb 21st. I think those are maybe the most I've played of your
Yeah.
music. And I
Yeah.
just think
Tony. Sorry.
Tony
I
Tom,
was.
like Tom, you and Tom Daly, like that's like that
That's
shit was
my.
that was the one though that really, like I said, Beautiful Malaise was the one that kind of was the trigger, but that was the one that
Hmm.
like I was so in awe with, like, man, I just don't know. I just need to keep listening to this thing over and over and over again. And it's like a longer album too, but it doesn't feel
Yeah.
like that way. It feels just like such a one of one piece where the grooves are so damn like beautiful and thick and warm. And yeah, and in the way your vocals come into, which I know we'll get into a little later, like it is just so unique.
Yeah.
And I find myself losing track of time and like figuring out, and I can't, it's almost like plays with my memory too, where sometimes I feel like I've heard this before. But
Yeah.
yeah, like there's a couple songs, I don't remember the name of it, but earlier on in the track list where I'm like, is this a sample I know? But I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't sample snitch here on live, on this recording anyway. But like I'm like, I don't even think it is, but it's not even the point.
Yeah.
It's just crazy experience.
That's props to Tom Dilly on that one because he done all of the production on that project. But yeah, he in particular is he gets it. We're kind of on a very similar wavelength. That's why we tend to work and kind of collaborate with each other quite a lot. But yeah, no, that was definitely a special one, a special time. Just a little bit of like context to that project as well. The way the way Tom Delly sends instrumentals. So normally when a producer sends beats, they'll send a pack of like multiple different beats, whatever, and you can pick. The way Tom Delly sends beats, he will send you one file and it will be like 45 minutes long, and it's just all of them kind of like stitched together. So the way that I recorded that is I do these kind of like long freestyle sessions over these pieces, and then post when we'd had them, where there was like 3 or 4 different sessions that we'd done, we'd then chop it up and kind of get the different songs for it. So that's why I don't know. Like if you listen to it, you'll maybe notice some bits. There's certain like motifs that kind of come back
Mm-hmm.
around, and that's because we've grabbed grab bits from different parts of the session and kind of
That's
like
crazy.
yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. So yeah, and I guess something else I'm curious about this kind of this general splayed style. You say we a lot, right? Like who are
Mhm.
you? Is it you plus like people like Tom Daly, Sync 600? Like who are the people that you think are kind of part of this? I don't know, like movement or
Yeah, I
style of
mean,
making music.
yeah, it's growing every day, to be honest, because there's a lot of like new up and coming artists in the UK. Like when I speak about this splice stuff, I'm generally speaking about like kind of like the UK and what's going on over here, and that's kind of one of the other main kind of differentiations to me, at least, between like what we're doing and the rest of the well. When I say the rest of the world, I mean the US basically, but the rest of the world. But there's myself, Tom Daly, Sync 600, Spruce, who's like a photographer, but he makes beats too. He's got like instrumentals on a few of my projects. There's a guy called Oghost who's on the label. Leo Sierra's another one who's a new addition to the label. But yeah, basically, there's a lot of people in the UK that have kind of grown with this sound since we've kind of started pushing it in the way that we are, and they kind of fully understand it, because, like I say, it's like to certain ears, it's a very specific kind of sound, and all these people that I talk about when I say we, these are people that really understand and kind of push this sound.
But no, I'm glad you're explaining that because I think I want to acknowledge these other folks as well that are in it with you. On the topic of kind of the sound experimentation that you have in your music, like one of the highlights of your career to date, and one of the highlights of last year was the craziness that is the Beautiful Malaise with psychedelic ensemble, and
Yeah.
I feel like that one really did catch some ears last year, because this feels like truly one of the most balls to the wall
Mm.
aggressively experimental records I've really heard in a while. Like,
Yeah.
and I know it's an album that you've categorized as no wave.
Yeah.
Um, and despite the freewheeling, deeply left field nature of the record, it really feels clear when I'm listening to this that there was like a coherent vision or ethos that was behind all the madness. Um,
100%.
and I've seen you previously define the record as like as the Beautiful Malaise, as a state of mind, as a feeling of overwhelming exhaustion caused by our surroundings. So like how did you and and psychedelic ensemble, your collaborator on this record, translate a feeling as seemingly stagnant as exhaustion into music that is so like aggressively kinetic, jarring? Like what was the connection you two had in your minds between this idea of malaise and such a high velocity explosive record as a result?
I think similar to my relationship with Tom Daly, me and Psychedelic Ensemble, it's like it's one of those kind of unspoken understandings where we don't even need to have a conversation, but we're both thinking the same thing. And with that project in particular, I mean, for me personally, that was like the longest I've ever worked on a project. We worked on that project for like over a year. So, and that's one of the only projects where I've had songs that got cut and got like left out. Me, I'll put that shit on. But we was a very kind of very intentional and very considered with what we were doing with that project. And I think it was just, again, like, yeah, it was kind of like an unspoken thing. I think it's one of them where we were able to make sense of it post, like during the process of making the album. It was very natural. Psych is one of the people that will send like he'll send you like a pack of like 100 beats, and for me that's like perfect because I can really find the things that really speak to me, instead of sometimes if someone sends like, I don't know, like 5 beats, then you'll kind of just pick because you kind of have to. Whereas
Mhm.
when people work like that and when we work like that, it really let me hone into to what felt truly natural to me, to or what I truly gravitated to. But given the sound of some of the instrumentals that he was sending, I kind of understood the assignment, and we were able to kind of just keep building from there as songs started to get made. But also, like I was saying, we worked on that for over a year, so there was a lot of a song would be done, but then we'd be like, "Yo, how about we get bass clarinet solo and put it on here like we did on Chain Out?" You know what I mean? So we really, there was no rules and there was no kind of limits to what we could do with that, and I think we fully exercised that with that project. So it was, yeah, it was freeing, but it was also exhausting. Like I think part of me releasing the way I do is because like I'll get to a certain point and I'm just like, I don't want to put any more energy like into this. It's done. But where that one, we kind of really pushed ourselves kind of to the limit of maximalism in terms of what can we do, what can we add, and also what can we kind of take away. So it was everything. That project was
Hmm.
like everything. Yeah.
And like, was this album's like very excited sound like was it like kind of like, because I'm going back to that title again, like was it like a defiant response to succumbing to exhaustion, or was this literally in your mind like the sound of said exhaustion, like the resulting mania that comes in its wake?
Yeah, I think it's like the result of the exhaustion, 100%. Yeah, I feel like it's like so you can only get pushed so far until something happens or something kind of breaks or something kind of changes, and I think that's what that project is.
And what made a psychedelic ensemble such a one of one producer to work with in your eyes?
It's always been like that before we'd even made work. The way that I found out about them, they've got a show on NTS, and they typically would just play kind of like their own instrumentals mixed with like crazy like skits and whatever. And then they did a project with Jadesy and John Glacier. I think it was called The Sky is Falling, if I'm not mistaken. But this was like a 15-20 track project. I think they were just kind of like freestyling over the beats. But as soon as I heard the instrumentals, I was like, yo, I need to make something happen. We kind of linked up. We started making music pretty soon after that. But they to me are just a one of one. I think they're one of the most special producers of our time, to be completely honest with you. And their creativity, the way that they work with sound, is just it's just insane. It's awe inspiring and inspiring. Yeah, so it just I had to like it was a feeling inside me where when I came across them, I knew that I had to make music with them. Similar to Tom Daly, like I get certain feelings about musicians and artists where it's like I was kind of saying earlier, it's like an unspoken understanding of like sound and kind of philosophy, and I feel very strongly about that, and I'm very drawn to these kind of individuals. So that was one of them where we just made it, where it came together and we made it happen.
Yeah, and that album too you did with Psych too. It was also in a way kind of the trigger point for me to dive even more into Mary Sue, who was
Oh,
actually recently on
really?
the show, because I also had heard Mary Sue's music. Think it was probably like 2024 is when like I heard of him before, but then I really
Hmm.
started listening then. But then I remember hearing Beautiful Malaise and being like, "Oh my god, this is so sick. I need to find more psychedelic ensemble music too." And then I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's." I remember seeing and probably even hearing the work he did with Sue at
Mary
least
Sue.
once,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it just maybe at the time it didn't fully click with me, but then it just clicked with me eventually.
Yeah.
And then I just started to get, just it was just another. I feel like that record really was like a great entry point into a lot of music. that I
Yeah.
wasn't as tapped into, and I really hope other people get tapped into too.
No, I'm really glad to hear that. And Sue's another one. Sue's another one of those artists over what I was kind of just saying, that when I came across him, especially like his story, him being from Singapore, that was I think the first time I'd ever heard a rapper from Singapore, and since then he's put me onto a load of stuff that's happening out there that's so sick. But even that, I was like, "Oh, this is so crazy," and the way he's so eloquent with words and just such a just an amazing person. But yeah, I think I'm really that's what we had to have him on the we had to have him on the project. Yeah.
Hmm. And so like pivoting now to like the vocalist Tony, the vocalist side of your work, similar to your production approach, I feel like your vocal delivery often does feel kind of like splayed. Like I feel like you could try to apply similar principles, like where your voice is often deployed like an additional instrument that is, sometimes distorted, EQ'd
Mhm.
in a certain way, layered to fit the mood of a track. And while you are a technically strong rapper who can deliver a dope verse on literally any kind of beat, as you've shown, you are very judicious about when you deploy a truly kind of conventional rap verse, a conventional 16 versus doing more kind of like an unstructured, amorphously loose verse where your voice is kind of like, sometimes speakerphoned in like
Yeah.
another sonic texture. Why do you gravitate to such a raw, structureless, abstract approach to rapping versus, coloring in between the lines like most rappers do and dropping a more like conventional 16 in the pocket?
I think it's just what's natural to me. I think the way I write is similar to the way I release music. Or, or whatever comes out naturally, it comes to a point where, and don't get me wrong, I'll be completely honest, maybe it's a degree of laziness. Like it's just being 100% like transparent, but it's like it gets to a certain point and it's like, okay, this is what I got. And some people can go over and kind of, you know, keep going back to things. But the way I see music and the way I enjoy making music is to let what happens naturally come out, whether that be the beat, whether that be the lyrics, whether that be the project. What happens naturally with the kind of energy of the moment, that's what it is for me, and that's kind of why to me my music is like the equivalent of like a photo book, like a family photo book. You can open a photo book and go back to these specific memories of these specific times, and really know, what you was feeling and what you was going through at that time. So that's kind of why it's like that. Don't get me wrong. Now, as I grow as an artist, I am trying to expand and write longer songs. Like on the album, I've got like a 3 minute song, which for me is like, what? But yeah, it's just based on natural feeling. I think I'll never force things. I mean, I could try, but I don't like to force things. So when something stops, or when the creative moment stops, say if I'm writing to an instrumental, when that stops, that's what I've got to work with. So sometimes I'll write, maybe, I don't know, 8 bars, 16 bars, and I'll kind of play with those 8 bars to fill out the length of the instrumental that I've got there, which is typically between 1 and 2 minutes. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just what's natural to me. And that's what I like to present to the people. And I think, yeah.
Yeah, and I can imagine that this approach is also informed by your experience in the punk music world too, like at Spew, because I feel like a lot of times, especially when you're kind of in the more kind of shouty speakerphone vibe, like
Hmm.
it feels like a vocal that's more akin to that world where it's very like emotions based. It also does kind of remind me, going back to Cities of Eve, like that is something that I hear in his music too,
Yeah.
where he's not restrained by any means to the typical kind of like standard rapper conventional verse structure.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think, and that's something that's always interested me with like punk and guitar music. I think a good example is there's this band called, oh, I'm blanking on the song name, but there's this band called Modest Mouse, and
Mm.
their second album. The Lonesome Crowded West. There's I'm really annoyed I can't remember the song name, but there's a song where I think there's around about 8 bars, and it's like a 4 minute song, and he uses these 8 bars and completes this 4 minute song, and that to me was such a an inspiring thing, and that kind of ties into music as well. Like the music I make is doing a lot with a little. Like some of the best songs in the world is 2 chords. You know what I mean? And but not everyone can just make a song out of 2 chords or make a song out of 8 bars. You know what I mean? So I think doing a lot with a little is something that is just really exciting to me.
Yeah, I think punk music is just really good with that. Like this was reminding me of this other punk group I really like. They're called Ought.
Okay.
They're from Montreal.
Mhm.
They're decently popular, I feel. But it's still definitely indie. They have this track called "Beautiful Blue Sky." It's from a decade ago, and
Mhm.
I just have always loved it. And they have this chorus that's like they repeat, and they kind of eventually it's like maybe a series of 5 questions that he keeps repeating. It's
Mhm.
called it's like goes like beautiful weather today. It's basically he's mimicking like the most small talky vapid conversation you can have. It's like beautiful weather today, how's the church, how's the job, how's the church, how's the
Yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah.
And it kind of just like crystallizes this feeling of the mundane, like of your life being dry, rudderless, pointless. Get an NPC vibe. Like it has all. I love those kind of songs because they particularly hit me. And yeah, and he just kind of repeats a lot of this. There are some verses, but like
Yeah.
the emotion changes, the intensity of his voice changes, and it ends up being so amazingly striking where you're just like goosebumps and you're like fuck, I feel this. But he's just kind of
Yeah.
saying the same thing for like 2 minutes, like with
But
this
that's what I
song.
mean. I think
Yeah.
the more like even with a lot of my songs, I'll do the verse and then I'll repeat it. But I do that because it's like I think it's like just driving and obviously music's subjective. Everyone will hear like what I'm saying or what someone's saying differently, and it will mean a different thing to different people. But I think reinforcing the actual message of what you're saying, I just find to be very powerful. Obviously, typically someone would do that on like a chorus of a song, but I think just doing that in general is a really powerful thing. Uh, so yeah, I fuck with that. I fuck with that too.
Yeah, and I know that you've spoken before about like the influence of Lil B, and how his music had similarly like no restraint or barriers, and how freedom and the feeling you got from his music was that freedom. And I feel like I really feel that in your music. And it's also just kind of in like the whimsy, like the whimsical nature of some of the like Letterbox Man off Beautiful Malaise. It's just talking about movies and or remarking about like the special connection people have between oat milk buyers on Everything Is Indeed Perfect from Tony Tom 2022. It's just like so funny. Like it's just nothing more than it's just really funny. And like I'm like, damn, this guy's funny, this guy's cool. Like I like this
Yeah.
guy. It's really special.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Pardon the interruption, but if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe, like the video, and hit the bell as well. And if you're checking this out on podcast platforms, please follow the show, leave a rating, leave a review if possible. This will help the algorithm do its thing and get more people tapped in. Thank you so much. Now back to the show. But keeping with the topic of like creating freely without conventional structures or barriers, let's get into My Name, your new album dropping February 27th. And
Hmm.
while I would say that this album isn't going like completely against the grain of your past work, like by no
Hmm.
means am I saying that,
Hmm.
it does feel more structured and has more of like like a concrete conceptual structure than typical for you. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to understand like what was that North Star when it came to putting together My Name? Like was there a particular idea or message you really wanted to convey to listeners listening to this album?
Yeah. So I think it's like I think there's two main things. One was the having the time to kind of process the grief of losing my mother. That's something that I've been dealing with for a few years now, since 2023. So the last album that I put out, we got kind of around that and around her death, was La Humanité, which came out in 2024. Um, and this project was I made that project in 2023, but it came out in 2024. And then the years kind of between then and now, I've grown as a person, I've grown as an individual, but I've also kind of come to terms with a lot of things, but also ask myself a lot more questions about things. So, and then that comes to the second kind of main point of the album is names. Like, and it sounds kind of mundane, but like I really was ruminating on the thought of like, because and I think for me it was because obviously I perform as Tony Bontana, and a lot of people know me as Tony Bontana and call me Tony, but my name is actually Jacques. You know what I mean? So I think I had a bit of a thing with that, and that's why the project's called what it is. But I think through that, because I typically don't have the kind of theme or the idea behind a project until post. Like normally how I work is I'll make the songs, and then when I've got the collection of songs, then I'll kind of figure it all out and piece it together and figure out what the theme is, if there is one. But with this one, that was the thought, and that was kind of the thought process going into it. So I think that's why it's a lot more structured and kind of coherent in that sense, but also because of because more things have been happening in terms of my music career. I've had a lot more kind of like opportunities and stuff over the last year, especially with like the Beautiful Malaise, that kind of opened a lot of doors. There was I was just kind of a bit more aware of of people paying kind of attention. So I really wanted to make this project. um I wanted people to be able to have the best chance of understanding me and what I'm trying to do. So this is one of the projects where I changed the order so many times. Like the track list order, like probably when I first sent it to you, the track list has definitely like at least switched around
You
since
changed
then.
the cover too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So I was just like, no, like I say, normally I'll take my hands off the wheel and be like, okay, this is what it is. But with this one, I was like, okay, let me actually keep putting my energy into this and keep seeing where the feelings taking me, and kind of trusting that it did get to a point where obviously I've been okay, this is it, and I'll take my hands off the wheel. But I think it was definitely a lot more considered.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. And like the idea of names was I found like really interesting. You have like the spoken word song at the end that I felt was like really powerful.
Mhm.
Um and it comes up like I mean it comes up throughout the album, but like I really like how you say it on the first track about how like my name's a mask to keep my inner child safe. I know you were kind of touching on it, but like, what do you feel like the significance of names are to people? Like, is it kind of just your way of saying like names serve a lot of different purposes? Like, for you,
Yeah,
it's a performance, it's your art exploration or expression. Like,
yeah, no, it's that. Yeah, they do serve different purposes for different people, but where I kind of settled on and where I landed at through the process of making the album is like the name is kind of inconsequential. The name doesn't actually really matter. The name is for everyone else. It's not for the person. And what's really important is the person behind the name. So it was kind of like wrestling with that, like, yeah, and that's where I ended up. It's not actually about the name. The name is just the cover, the packaging or whatever. But what's actually inside that is what's actually important.
no, that's really interesting. And like I also found on this album, it's something again that you hear throughout your music, but it did come up a particularly a particular amount of times, like on tracks like Soft Dreams, where there is like a keen political focus and awareness in your music. And, you shout out about Palestine, and you kind of cover that, I think, in like the bridge of this song.
Hmm.
And just throughout your catalog, you've always shown like a strong awareness of the ills afflicting like working class people, like regular people.
Yeah.
Why is it important for you to use your voice to shine a light on these kinds of issues? Like, why does that kind of end up always being something that you come back to time and
I
time again?
think the more as I kind of grow up and as I step into being an adult, I mean, I'm turning 30 this year. Like, the more I just recognize how important it is that we as human beings use our voice to just be aware and to share information of what's really going on. I think obviously everyone's different. Everyone has different opinions, but I think at the end of the day, as human beings, we can all agree that we would like everyone to be able to do what they like when they like, and for them to not be suffering and going through pain. So, in order for us to get to that place, we need to be aware, and we need to talk about these things that are going on to eradicate them, to stop them from happening. I think the more we kind of turn a blind eye and don't look at these things and don't talk about these things, the longer that these types of things will be perpetuated. So I think it's really important, just as human beings, not necessarily as an artist, but as human beings, that we at least just have conversations and be aware and talk about what's going on wherever it is in the world, because like I say, on a human being level, I think we all are striving for the same things. No matter what people believe, I think we're all striving for the same thing, and that is a level of freedom where people can do and be as they want to be, where they want to be.
Hmm. Yeah, that's well said. And yeah, I think that Soft Dreams track is arguably the like that's one of the tracks I would probably share with people if they want to kind of
Hmm.
know you and know kind of how you rap. Yeah, that's one that has multiple verses. So you were saying like
Yeah.
earlier, like that's a maybe not as common for you, but it's just really sharp. And I even just feel like the way you weave those topics into like the repeated hook and stuff, like it ends
Mhm.
up adding a lot of power behind what you're saying, and I really feel it. Like it really makes you kind of like it makes you not be able to turn a blind eye, like you literally say on the song. Like
Yeah,
it's really good stuff.
I appreciate
And that kind of gets to like the music kind of musicality of this album too, because I think it really mirrors the introspective focus of your rhymes,
it. Mhm.
because I feel like the soundscape is like particularly emotionally evocative. Like that kicks off from the jump with the intro and those like stirring keys that are just like so gorgeous. Um like what production wise, like talk to me about how you wanted this album to sound sonically.
I think again that it kind of happened as it happened, but I definitely wanted to work in like how the album's structured now. That first run of like 4 or 5 songs is like kind of the bag I've been in recently, which is this specific era of like late 80s, early 90s, like R&B, more so R&B than soul. And it's a sound that I'm really kind of interested in at the moment. And that was kind of like, it's kind of in my head, it's like two halves. So the first half of the album is very much that, and kind of like in a sense my kind of typical wheelhouse. And then the second half is where I kind of opened up and more so collaborated with other producers. So one producer I especially want to shout out actually is DJ Noon somewhere, who's from out in New York. He is one of my favorite producers. I think he just finds these certain pockets, and it's splayed. Like, he knows about the splayed too. He produced Microplastics and the last song Step Five, but him
Mm.
as a producer, he finds these really unique and special pockets with drums and with like samples and stuff as well, and that kind of heavily shaped for me like that second half of the album.
Well, I'm just You said that you changed the order. I actually was wrong. You did. You changed the order since I last looked at it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cause I, oh shit. Cause I was saying the intro. I was talking
It's
now
the
about
last
the
one
outro.
now. Yeah, yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, I gotta read. Cause I've been listening to it offline. Cause like you'd sent me the whatever
Yeah,
I
the
had downloaded
download.
before.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But there was
Okay, I
one,
think
and
it's.
you know what? I gotta give you a production or like a sequencing credit because when you reinforce the one transition from I think it's grief into Hoyt
Oh
Williams
yeah,
and
yeah.
Holy Water, I was like, I gotta keep that for bro.
Yeah,
Like,
cause because for those who haven't listened to the album yet, like it's yeah, you like the beat kind of just like disintegrates at the end of it, and then it just transitions. I was like, man, that's so fucking hard. That's such a nice like finesse move there. But oh shit, I gotta listen to it. Okay, I recognize like I kind of can feel how it sounds, but yeah, the intro and the outro were man, that's gonna be interesting. I guess
yeah.
I see what you mean. You're kind of setting the thesis or whatever like first versus last. It's okay,
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, and that was like that. Yeah, so that's when I did that, it was kind of like we were saying, this is a lot more kind of considered and structured in a certain way. So that's why I wanted to bookend the project with Izzy. For people that don't know, Izzy Richards is my best friend. That's been my friend from since school, and we've been through life together, through death, through life, through everything. And so bookending the album with our two perspectives on what a name means, and they're both valid. They're both valid, but I think it's just showing that, like we were saying earlier, like names is a different thing for different people, but yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to listen to it again with the right order. Shout out to DJ Noon somewhere because I really do like those beats, particularly Step Five.
Yeah.
That one is awesome.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just think this record really feels like warm and inviting. Like you mentioned, I really like the bag you're saying you're in with like those R&B 80s type things because Soft Dreams,
Hmm.
I keep saying, is so smooth.
Hmm.
And I feel like the sound feels like also like it has a bit of a heightened sense of grandness. Like there's a certain level of gravitas that makes this album stand out amongst your catalog.
Hmm.
And to me, it kind of just feels like, given especially the very introspective and very considered, like you're saying, approach to how you kind of put this together, this feels like a very signature album for you. Like it encapsulates who you are as an artist, who you are as a human too. So
Hmm.
like if you had only one album that you could share with a listener unfamiliar with your work, would it be My Name, the project that you'd share with them?
Truly, yeah. Truly, yeah. And I think the more because, like, yeah, it's weird for me because, like I say, normally, and like my discography will show. Normally, I'm very like I'm not, as much as I love and I put a lot of love and care into my music, I'm not precious with it. I'm not scared to finish a song and just put it out, whether maybe the mix or master could be better, whatever. Like I'm just like, okay, like let's just get it out. Let's just get it out. But I think with this one, like I particularly, yeah, really put a lot into it. I don't know. I don't know if it was more for me or more for the quote unquote the listener, but yeah, this would definitely be the one. I think this is definitely the best representation, like you say, of like me as an artist and me as a person. So yeah, this would for sure be the one. But they'd have to
Yeah,
they'd
that's the
have to
thing.
go
It's
back.
like it feels like if I were to do that and I'd share them like, oh, that's sick. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you like it. You will certainly like his other music, but like, don't be expecting it. It's like you're not
Yeah,
you
yeah.
only just scratch the surface. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
One
It's not gonna
saying
all
that
sound like this.
one saying that like me and my friends have, and like there's so many situations in life that kind of reinforce this saying, and it sounds stupid, but the saying is never think. And that's it, like never think. But you say it and it's like, but it could be a situation where you will go into a situation with a certain like idea of what it's going to be, and then it ends up being the complete opposite of what, or you could go into meeting someone and think that they're going to be a certain way, and then they completely surprise you and it ends up being. So that never think is like, that's what I also want to kind of instill in the music. So I'm obviously working on new stuff, so I'm kind of consciously making sure that it kind of doesn't sound like this. Obviously, this is in my wheelhouse and this is like what I do, but I never want people to be able to box me in. Basically, I never want people to think, oh, this is what Tony does, when it's a lot more. It's always more than that. You know what I mean? So never think is like, yeah. I just had to get that one out.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that motto. And yeah, like even just like just want to quickly shout out before I do. I'm curious about what you got coming up too. But the Tumpet 2 record you put out was so sick, and that's people love this. Like you're gonna hear that, and it's not gonna sound like a My
Hmm.
Name too. Like it's you got a lot of, shout out to Dorian who was on the pod recently.
Hmm.
Some sick beats from Dorian here.
Yeah.
And I really like the bag you're in here. It's like really in that kind of like new age trap. Like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
hard to describe a lot of this music with words anymore, but like it's
Yeah.
it's really some interesting thing. PTY on this, like Michael Jaguar. Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff there, and some really good songs that I definitely wanted to shout out because I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I think that
Um,
that's kind of linking back to the love of Lil B. Like that was
mhm,
definitely like a kind of driving behind that project I was making it. That was like, because that when I first started making music before it was like Tony Bontana or whatever, I would literally be doing like based freestyles just over like YouTube beats and stuff like that, like just
mhm.
for fun. So that energy, I wanted to kind of put that energy into that project. And again, like I was saying earlier, Dorian's a producer that sent me a pack with like 400 fucking beats in it. So I was really able to kind of like cherry pick and yeah. But yeah, shout out Dorian. Big love, big
Yeah.
big big love.
So in addition to the different facets of your own work, you've also been busy as like a label head for Everything Is Perfect. So like, tell me about that experience and kind of what looking in the future, like what should people be excited about? What are you excited about that you have cooking with the label?
Big thing is there's an artist called Shake. Shake is a Birmingham rapper and producer who was one of the big inspirations for me coming up as like a kid in the city. He used to rap with a group called the Odyssey, and they were like a kind of more classic kind of hip hop group. That's kind of what they'd done, but they also had these elements of like grime and just UK culture, like in the very specific ways that comes across in music. So he's got an album coming out on the label this year, and to me, and I have been saying this, and I definitely stick by it. It's one of, if not the best grime album since Boy in the Corner by Dizzy Rascal. I listen to a lot of grime, and there I can't. There's a very small amount of grime albums where the whole listening experience is like, yeah, no, this is it, and this album is one of those. So
So
I'm
this is
really,
the one coming up?
yeah, that's coming up. That's
Okay.
coming up.
Okay.
Like, hopefully around April, May time. That should be out.
Okay, sick.
So yeah, I'm really excited for that. And also there's a band from Ireland called Some Images of Paradise, and they to me are superstars. They're a very young band, but they know exactly what they're doing. They're so pro. Like I seen them live. I brought them over to the UK for their first UK shows, and they had it all. Like not only is the like recorded music sick, but their performance is like chef's kiss. Like so yeah. But with the label, that's basically what it is. Like I always try and keep my ear to the ground with all types of music. There's no like rules per se as to what's on the label. I mean, typically, there is a lot of this kind of splayed stuff and a lot of rap and hip hop.
Mhm.
That at the core it always is that. But yeah, just music that makes me passionate, and music that I feel passionate about. where I want to support it and put it out there as much as I can and put as many people onto it as I can. So yeah, everything is perfect records. We're always looking and always putting something out. So yeah, and Leo Sierra, who's one of two features on the album, aside of Izzy Richards. He's another young guy that's come up and coming up, and he reminds me of me when I was his age in terms of he makes so much music, and he's only getting better and better with each one. So yeah, just putting out music that I'm passionate about and people that I'm passionate about. Yeah.
And like for your solo work specifically, your Tony Montana work, what should
Mhm.
people be on the lookout for project wise, tour wise, merch wise?
Yeah, so the new record, My Name, this is the first kind of full run of vinyl that I'm doing. So I've got about 40 records left on my Bandcamp. So people, if you want one, actually, I'm gonna get your address. I'm gonna send you one.
Oh
Um,
man, thank you
but
so much.
yeah, nah. Yeah. So that's coming. I've got a tour for the album in March in the UK. So from the 23rd till the 26th of March, I'll be in London on the 23rd, Bristol on the 24th, Manchester on the 25th, and Glasgow on the 26th of March. So yeah, come along to that. I'm gonna have some kind of like exclusive merch for that. I've got a design that I'm working on. I'm not gonna like spoil it, but it's like insane. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, everything is perfect records pre the Bandcamp, and yeah, I'm working on like four different projects right now. So something else
Amazing.
will be coming soon, and I'm gonna put Tumpet 2 on streaming and whatever, so more people can hear it. But yeah,
That's sick. Yeah, the merch you got with Psych for Beautiful Malaise, I was too late to the party because I saw those boulder face shirts were so
yeah,
sick, but they're not in my size anymore. But those were
yeah.
fire. Like I'm excited what other merch you got coming because you got good taste there.
No, yeah, I'm gonna sort you a little care package. Shout out Canada.
Oh
I actually
man,
got an
thank you,
auntie
man.
that lives in Canada. She lives in
Oh yeah,
Mississauga. Yeah, yeah. She
that's so close to me. That's a 30-minute drive. That's where my
that's
girlfriend's
crazy.
family's at. Yeah.
Because she used to drive school buses. So I went there when I was little, and that was the first time I saw like like the classic like yellow school bus. I learned to ride a bike in Canada too. I probably was in my
Wow.
first thunderstorm in Canada. I had applesauce for the first time in Canada. Yo, I don't know if you know. Yeah, we don't do AC in the UK. Like AC is just like not a
Yeah,
thing.
I would imagine because your weather it gets like we get hotter. Like at least Toronto, we get hotter than you. You guys are like you get
Yeah.
like 20, 25
Nah, you know
max.
what? Recently, global warming been global
Oh
warming
yeah, it's
because
fucked you guys up.
we've been getting up to like 30, pushing 40 at some points, which is highly unnatural for here. But yeah, we might need to start looking at that AC.
That's funny. That's funny. But yeah, like I just I'm really happy we could do this. I can't get enough of your music. Like I feel like the energy, the creativity is just so special, and I'm really happy to see kind of you know these more media you're doing. It seems like
Mhm.
more ears are going your way, and I feel like your star is rising. It's only up for here. So thanks so much
Yeah.
for coming on, and I hope you enjoy this too.
Nah, thank you. I really appreciate it. And likewise, just to reinstate what I said earlier, I think what you do, the conversations that you have and the people that you bring on, and the fact that people will come and actually speak to you, where I know they wouldn't necessarily speak to other places, it's because of what you do and the energy you put out. And just for me personally, I do really appreciate you and what you do and keep at it, G, because yeah, it's sick. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to not only support the show, but join the fastest growing community of like-minded indie rap fans, go to patreon.com, search for the Rap Music Plug podcast, and become a patron. You will gain access to an exclusive patron-only Discord that me and 70 plus people engage with on the regular, as well as other patron-only benefits such as exclusive access to the iconic RMPP listening parties, album recommendations, and much more. So if you have any questions about any of the Patreon stuff, or just want to keep tabs on the show, interact with me on rap music and all the great stuff that we can talk about, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rapmusicplugpod, or shoot me an email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com. You can also rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify as well. But that's enough self-promotion for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.